for 3 more days, and then the Northern Nevada office will be in Reno. Garth has served in this role since February of 2018. Prior to that, he worked for the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County for over 15 years and Federal Highway Administration prior to that. With the RTC of Washoe, Garth served as project manager and engineering manager. Welcome, Garth. I see you're muted at the moment.
Because, of course, as it would be, right when I turn the camera on, my dog right here on the patio door is scratching to want to get in. So I'm going to let him sit there for a few minutes and see if he'll calm down. Otherwise, I might have to step away and just let him in. The joys of working from home, right?
We're all dealing with it. We all have our own small issues with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
feels like a minor one.
Exactly. And speaking of working from home, I think this Remo format has been very successful this year, allowing us to interact socially a little bit during the breaks. I know I certainly enjoy getting together with everyone, having the social time, and I tried to simulate that process here a little bit with at least getting dressed up for you all. The Zoom uniform, I am wearing jeans and dress shoes and dress socks. So I wanted to make this as realistic as possible for you guys today. So
one.
All right, I'm going to hit share screen here and see if I can get it to work. How's that? Can you guys see it?
That looks good. Yeah, perfect. All right.
All right.
I'll join you back at the end.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nathan. So before I get started on here, I just wanted to flash back to Tom Van Dam's presentation there at the end when he wanted to add that little bit of extra. And he was asking if anyone is suffering from fly ash shortage. I thought for sure he was going to follow it up with like 20 seconds of possible side effects for those of you suffering from that, that health issue. So I got kind of a kick out of that when he was asking if you're suffering from fly ash shortage. Then anyways, so I appreciate that, Tom. I know you didn't mean for that humor, but I got a kick out of that. So anyways, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you for inviting me to present on this. Topic of the afternoon is specifications with new opportunities. And you'll see I added a question mark on there because what does that mean? What do we look for when we're looking for opportunities when it comes to specifications? So before I get into that too much, I kind of want to get us all in the right frame of mind. So we're all on the same page, if you will, as I go forward with this presentation. So first off, what are specifications? Well, I looked it up, and obviously we know it's a lot of text. It's a lot of words. And basically what those words are saying is I'm going to tell you what to do because the last time you screwed it up. I mean, isn't that really the case? Isn't that how specifications are developed? Something happens, something goes wrong, someone screws up, and the owner says, I can't let that happen again. I got to write it so that doesn't happen again. So that is, in a nutshell, what specifications are. I'm going to tell you what to do because last time you screwed it up. And that is why our specifications keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll touch on that here a little bit later in the presentation. Here's a perfect example of that. These are obviously screw-ups that the specifications weren't read or the specifications weren't right or someone did it wrong. I mean, obviously there on the left, I don't know what was going on there. There was an embedment issue with that concrete without a doubt. Over there on the right, I don't know, English to metric or imperial to metric issue. I'm not exactly sure, but that is definitely a screw up. So specifications were changed for that. Picture on the left. So I mean, sometimes you literally have to tell people which end is up because someone screws up and you've got to write your specification literally saying this end goes up. I really appreciate the picture on the right there because in this case, they're actually following the specifications. The application just isn't quite right. So, I mean, kudos to the firefighters, the first responders here for doing what they're supposed to do in protecting their hose from tire wear. In this case, I really don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. So now here's where specifications can be tweaked a little bit to give you more opportunities. You see here, obviously, when I Googled this image, the power drill came up as a tremendous kitchen tool to help you get things done quicker, faster, probably a better mix, I'm guessing. I'm not sure, but I want to point out something that is important here. Look at the picture on the right. For any of you people out there are thinking, you know what, I got to peel a whole bunch of apples with these upcoming holidays. I'm going to do this. Well, look at the picture on the right there. Not only is there a cutting board, there's also a drop cloth underneath the drill, and the operator's wearing an apron. And it looks like a pretty heavy-duty apron. So I'm guessing that's pretty messy. So if any of you have an idea to do this, just prepare the area for most likely an apple juice spray of some sort all over the place there. So how did specifications come about? Well, I would say, as we mentioned, they've evolved over time. They've gotten more complicated, more detailed, longer in terminology. And as I was thinking about this, I was like, what were some of the early specifications out there? And I thought of Noah's Ark. And if you take a look at what Noah's Ark had to do, what were the specifications that he had? Well, first off, he had 7 days to build it. That was his first spec. Next one, what you're building must last 40 days and 40 nights and be waterproof, obviously. Then it's got to hold your family and all the Earth's animals, or a representation of all the Earth's animals, which they guess was about 70,000 animals. Then it's got to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. That's it. That's all Noah had for instructions. That's all the specifications he had. Nothing about how big the pens were inside the ark, how many levels were there, what animals go where, how do you deal with this, how do you deal with that? Here's your specs, Noah. Good luck. Go build it. I'll see you in 7 days. That's it. Obviously, the rest of the story, he was successful in doing that. So that was really more of a performance-based specs. You got 7 days to do it. It's got to last 40 days. It's got to hold this, and I need it of that size. That's it. Nothing, use this type of wood, use this type of attachment, to attach the woods or attach the wood to each other, nothing like that. Purely performance-based specification versus method-based. And that's getting into, you will use oak from, such and such forest. You will use wood nails. You will use the locking, I'm not a carpenter, but the locking method for the joints on there. You will have 5 levels. You will have this pen for the lions, this pen for the giraffes, this pen for the zebras, whatever the case may be. That's method-based. I mean, these pictures are a great example of that. Performance-based, very short, really kind of to the point, this is what I need. Method-based, a lot of detail. And method-based can get complicated, especially, and I'll get onto this later in the presentation, when we look at how things are here in Nevada. So what do we use here in Nevada? Well, I would submit to you that we are much more familiar with method-based specifications. Well, why is that? Going back to what I said before, someone somewhere at some time screwed something up. So the owner agency had to write a new specification or update a specification so that didn't happen again, or to make it more clear of what you're supposed to do. So what do we have here in Nevada that we mostly deal with? Obviously, this is a very broad stroke for the different types of specifications we have here. We've got the federal ones that we follow, but we have the NDOT Silver Book. Obviously, NDOT uses that one. Has a lot of structures in there, a lot of bridge information. The local agencies don't do a lot of bridges, so it makes sense that they would reference up to the Silver Book. In Northern Nevada, we have the Orange Book that's made up a number of the local agencies, not just Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County, but also Carson City, City of Yerington. A couple of the outlying counties use this as well. And then, of course, down south, we have the Blue Book, the Southern Nevada version. I couldn't find a picture of the title of that, so I just used the RTC logo, because that is, in essence, the keeper of the book if you're looking to get those. Same with Northern Nevada. You go to rtcwashoe.com and you can get the Orange Book specs there. Same thing down south, RTC of Southern Nevada's website, and get the specifications there. So why do we have so many different specifications? Well, obviously, if you're from the north, you live with this. This is obviously up at Lake Tahoe. Severe winter conditions, your specifications need to account for that. If you live down south, you have the opposite, severe heat. Your specifications need to deal with that. Now, interesting little side note here, when I was Googling pictures for Southern Nevada heat, I actually found a picture, and I had it in here at the beginning and took it out, but it was a picture of the Golden Knights practice facility indoors. The ice was actually melting. There were 2 guys there. One was shoveling the slush away, and the other guy had a fire extinguisher spraying the melting ice to try to cool it off. So anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting that when I Googled, I think I did like Las Vegas heat or something like that, or Las Vegas high temperatures, and that the image of the melting practice facility was one of the ones that popped up on here. So obviously we have a very broad range of weather conditions that we're dealing with here. So when you're trying to establish specs, it kind of makes sense to tailor those more towards regional differences. So if you're a supplier out there, if you're a manufacturer or something, you're a contractor, and you get headaches over, if you work across the state, of why all of the different specifications. That's a lot of the reason. And I'll touch on some more reasons later on as far as when it looks at opportunities for you when it comes to specs. So let's do a quick recap before I move into the next step of this. Why do we have specifications? Well, you take a look at the picture here. Someone screwed up. Ultimately, that's why specifications exist. And we have 3 different regional specifications here, and each of those with sub-specifications. For example, City of Las Vegas has their own very voluminous set of specifications that they like to use. RTC of Washoe County, they have their own special provisions and supplemental general provisions, which are an addendum to the Orange Book, which is kind of a supplement to the Silver Book, depending on what project you're using. And then, of course, you've got AASHTO and ASTM and all sorts of other stuff. So it can be really juggling a lot of different documents. So how do we create new opportunities? That's the topic of the conversation today. How do we create new opportunities given where we're at today with our specifications, not only just 3 of them, but different areas and different things like that? So first off, don't screw up. That's the best way to create new opportunities. Don't screw up. Build trust. And I love this picture here, the T-Rex trying to do the falling trust exercise. So I'm guessing that probably didn't go over too well, but I got a real kick out of this picture. It was someone a lot more humorous than myself came up with this, and I think that's pretty funny there, the T-Rex trust fall. So anyways, what I mean by that is build trust. If you're looking for a new opportunity in the way specifications are written, and you have a history of screwing up, the owner is not going to be very likely to, grant you a little leeway, to give you a little bit extra rope, whatever the case may be, to let you off the leash a little bit more to go and try something. So build trust with the owners, with the agencies, that they know that you're a contractor, a supplier, a producer, that they can trust because you have a track record of that. And I'll touch on that here in just a little bit as well. The other thing, when you're looking at opportunities, develop a win-win situation. It can't just be a win situation for you, the contractor, the supplier, the producer. It's got to be a win for the other person as well. Are you saving them money? Are you saving them time? Or is it an environmental benefit? Are you reducing impacts to the neighbors, to the businesses, whatever the case may be? It's got to be a win-win for both. And ideally, emphasize this goes without saying, or should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. The win needs to be reinforced for them, for the owner, the specification developer. You have got to show what their win is more than your own win, because that's really what it's about, is they need to have that trust that you are going to do something and develop a partnership with them so they see some benefit. The other thing you need to do is commit. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. If you say you're providing something and it's going to meet these requirements, it better do that. Because if you haven't committed to that and you haven't followed through with it, then the next time around something like this comes up, I'm still feeling the burn from last time. I'm putting my owner's hat on here when I'm talking about this. I'm feeling that burn from last time when there was a promise made and I trusted you and we did the trust fall with actual real arms, not T-Rex arms, and you didn't commit to it and fell through. I'm going to think about that the next time around. So contractors, suppliers, producers, commit to the product, commit to the process, commit to whatever it is that you say you're going to do. Now, this is something my wife and I we do a lot of training on in our passion of helping people get healthy and stuff. But we have a saying that there's freedom and discipline. And it's not just us that has that saying. It's actually a fairly well-known saying. And they actually reverse it. It's discipline and freedom. But we talk about freedom and discipline. What I mean by that is if you can be disciplined in your work, in your process, in your quality control, in what you're doing from a contractor standpoint and delivering, if you have that discipline and you are repeating, because discipline provides repetition. You're starting to do the same thing over and over again because you're disciplined. You're doing it again. That discipline, it's going to become natural. And you're getting really good at it. You're becoming a professional. I mean, that's how professionals become professionals, is they are disciplined in their craft. Whether it's a professional speaker or a professional athlete, they're disciplined and it becomes muscle memory. So you, as a supplier, producer, or contractor, let it become muscle memory that you are committing and producing and building the trust in what you're saying. Because when that happens, as you'll see on the graph here, as your discipline goes up, you're going to get more freedom. you're going to be allowed more freedom from that owner. I mean, think about it from the standpoint of your kids. For those of you that have multiple kids, most likely, I didn't even say most likely, but there's a chance you have one child that you trust more than another one because they're disciplined. You know they're not going to get in trouble. You know they're going to make the right decision. You know that they're going to be good. So what happens naturally? Yeah, you give them an extra half hour in the curfew. You let them go, with some friends in the car or whatever, whatever the case may be. You're granting them a little bit more freedom versus the other kid who's constantly getting in trouble, not getting their homework done, just mouths off, whatever the case may be. You're pulling that freedom back. You're having them come home early. You're watching who they're hanging out with. Exact same situation. Be disciplined in your craft. Over time, you will get the freedom that you want in order to try new things, to create opportunities in the world of specifications. So lastly, another thing you need to do is get involved. And I'm putting back on my RTC of Washoe County hat when we had the Orange Book. And I know Michelle Dennis spent many, many years working on updating the Orange Book. That's an opportunity for you, contractor, supplier, producer, to get involved. Tom touched on that before with some of the specifications. You can get in there and help guide the process. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to get a specification written so it 100% only meets you and no one else, but you can at least open up the door a little bit. Now, I will tell you there's a challenge in this. It's very challenging to get all of those parties together to come together and do consensus. And I mean, just one, getting consensus, but two, logistically, when do you meet? In the summertime, everybody's swamped working. In the wintertime, you're getting caught up. You're cleaning your equipment. You're resupplying. You're restocking. You're taking time off. So how do you get involved? So just keep that in mind, that if you want to be able to have opportunities through specifications, you've got to commit to getting involved in the processes and the procedures and the groups that formulate the specifications. You can't sit on the sideline and then complain that the specifications are written in such a way that you can't do anything with it. Your hands are tied. I can't do anything because these specifications are too tight. Well, were you involved in helping them get tweaked? So get involved. Look for those opportunities. ASCE, APWA, they all let people know when there are meetings and such, and AGC as well, for you to get involved of when some specification rewrites or modifications are occurring. And owners, same thing. For those of you watching here, if you're an owner, let the industry help with your specifications. You're going to get a better product in the end. Obviously, protect your asset, protect your investment, but allow for innovation. Specifications can be written in a way that allows for innovation. So anyways, enough on that one. So what could happen? What could happen if you build the trust, you build the partnership, you develop a win-win, you commit to it, you've got discipline, and you get involved? What could happen? Magic. Magic happens. Now, actually, magic doesn't really happen, but innovation can happen. That's exactly what I was just talking about. You then have an opportunity. If you've done those things on that checklist, you then have an opportunity to innovate what you're producing, what you're supplying, what you're constructing. If you have built trust, if you've committed to it, if you have built the relationship, the partnership, developed a win-win, done the discipline, and gotten involved, you then can have innovation. You can let innovation happen, or you can help it happen. Here's a perfect example of that. This is something that Tom Tietz provided me, and thank you for this, Tom. This was the Frank A. Tracy generating station. This is where they use the Portland limestone cement type IL. I believe Tom was touching on this before. 10% reduction in greenhouse gases. That's a win-win for everybody. It really is. That's not a win-win just in the column of the supplier or just in the column of the owner. That's a win-win for everyone. Because if we can reduce greenhouse gases, it's not debatable. That's a benefit for everyone. And this came about, and I know Tom touched about it, but there was a change in the Orange Book. And that's obviously up north, and the RTC of Washoe County is kind of the keeper of that. And I know there was a process and a procedure and a group that got together to help do that. So again, the concrete industry had built trust with the RTC. They had committed to doing this. They had developed a win-win. And ultimately, innovation happened, and this was allowed. So got another picture example here of where this product was used. It was actually on a sidewalk out in Spanish Springs. So again, Same thing, same process. Innovation was allowed to occur, or opportunities were allowed because of the different levels of people getting involved in building trust and everything else. So what's another way for innovation or opportunities, if you will, when it comes to specifications? Well, the approved equal. And this one, I know there's a lot of stories out there in the industry about what approved equal means. You can see it there in my notes. It really allows you to get around sole sourcing. It comes from the feds. They don't allow, well, not even just the feds. A lot of agencies don't allow you to sole source. You want to have open market competition. But again, the owner, hey, that screwed up before. That didn't work before. I'm not going to get hosed over again. This is what I want. I know it works. And it's going to work with our system. I've got a track record with it. This is what I want. Oh, okay, but there's got to be an approved equal as well. So that gets a little fuzzy because you then have to do the work to show that it is an approved equal. And there's a couple processes for that, but I've got some pictures here. This first one, when I actually Googled approved equal, I could not believe I got a picture like this to pop up using a T-square. I mean, what are the chances that just Google approved equal, hit the images, and you get a story like, or you get a picture like this, and the approved equal is being compared against a dog treat to a T-square. I thought that was great. So the other one here, and I get a kick out of this one, Pepsi versus Coke. Many people, maybe not that many, would say they're approved equals. They're both colas. They're sodas, they're carbonated, they're caffeinated, they're sugared, they're dark in color. But I tell you this, if you go to my in-laws' house and you tell them that Pepsi is approved equal for Coca-Cola, you're out the door. There's no way. So therein lies some of the challenge of approved equal. You may think it's an approved equal, but if there's a lot of passion or a lot of history on what that original item is, you may not stand a chance with another item. So that is a challenge with approved equal, but it's not the end all be all. Again, build trust, build a relationship, show the win-win, commit to it, all of the sort of stuff. And eventually I might, my dog jumped on the patio door there. I jumped a little bit. I might be able to get Pepsi in the door someday. I'm 24, 25 years into being with my wife and my in-laws. Maybe by the time I hit 40 years with them or something, I can get that Pepsi product into the front door, but we'll see. So, next. So not only approved equal, but Nevada DOT has a qualified products list. And I know a lot of local agencies actually look to NDOT and this qualified products list. Excuse me. I'm going to give him one more chance. If he scratches, I'm going to go let him in real quick. But I know when I was with Federal Highway Administration, I actually served on the qualified products list board or committee. And it was very well run. They did a great job of allowing producers and suppliers to come in. Hold on one second. Okay, Bo. All right, I'm back. Oh, now he's coming over. So I was on the committee that was evaluating qualified products lists, and I know they did a great job of allowing suppliers and vendors to come in, basically do a little dog and pony show. Yes, buddy, I know. Do a little dog and pony show, but then we would kind of run them through the paces. We'd ask for all their research results, all their testing. A lot of times we'd have them put it out in the field so we can get real world testing. And here's an interesting thing. I Googled qualified products list for this picture. That's actually an NDOT picture that popped up. There was very few actual photos. This looks like it might be in the North Valleys. I'm not quite sure. Maybe there's some NDOT people on here that knows exactly where that's at. But they actually do product testing out in the field. Washoe Valley is a great example of that. If you're heading northbound through Washoe Valley, right as you get into the valley, come out of Carson City, you look over to the right, there's a little frontage road. A lot of times you'll see various signs up there, various pavement markings within the valley itself. I know with the RTC of Washoe County, we did some test projects with ultra-thin white top, with warm mix asphalt, various types of pavement markings. Now, RTC and most local agencies don't have a qualified products list, but there's an opportunity to kind of go through that same process with them, much like NDOT has the formalized process that you go through with them. So there are opportunities to get the specifications changed permanently, or maybe on a temporary basis going through some of these processes. So before I kind of get close to the end here, this was something that I've always found fascinating when it comes to specifications. Years ago, NDOT hosted trying to remember what it was. I think it was through NHI or something like that. And it was I think it was like a 1.5-day course on specification writing, which sounded at first extremely boring, but I needed my PDH hours. But the presenters that we had were really good. And one of the examples they had was this right here. They put this up on the screen and they asked, what type of equipment are you supposed to use? Because they talked about the importance of punctuation. So on here, use roller A and B or C. So is it use roller A and B or C? So you're going to use A and B or A and C? Or is it use roller A and B or C? Meaning use A and B together, or instead of A and B together, you can use C. So the difference in punctuation can make a big difference in your specifications. And the reason why I say that is just to keep in mind when you're reading specifications, you can really get into the nitty-gritty on trying to find opportunities or try to find openings in there. For example, this case right here, if they would have come back in, if that was how the specifications was originally written, could you imagine the potential argument out on site when you show up with two of these types and they're the different types and what the inspector thought? So the reason why I'm showing that is that's part of getting back to building that relationship, building that trust with someone. You know, early on, getting involved, finding out what's possible and what you can do. And real quick, I actually grabbed some pictures of roller compacted concrete in order to stay consistent with the theme here. So that's some roller compacted concrete here. Looks like it's probably in a residential area. Here's another one, a much more larger industrial type facility, it looks like, based off what you see there in the background. So anyways, roller compacted concrete. So use roller A and B or C, or A and B and C, or maybe throw in a D for your innovations if you want to. So in summary, what do we need to do in order to have opportunities for specifications, changes, or tweaks here in Nevada? Well, first off, as I've said it before, don't screw up. Again, specifications are written because someone, somewhere, at some time screwed up. And as the owner, you can't have that. Again, I'll put my owner hat back on. I remember when we were working on the Southeast Connector, and I told people, and for those of you that may be join us here and you're in some of these meetings, you may remember me saying that we have to do this right, because if we ever have to go back to the public again in the future and ask for more funding, we cannot let them point to the Southeast Connector and say, look at that, that was a colossal failure. You needed money for that. We're not giving you any more money because you couldn't produce on what you said last time. So that's what the owners face. The owners face, they have to build the trust with the public, the partnerships with the public, the win-win with the public. If you give us this tax increase, we're going to give you better roads, better sewer, better water, whatever the case may be. So the owner, government agency, also has the same issue with the public. They've got to build that trust with them to get the funding. So it's a pass-through procedure. The public trusts the agency and gives them funding. The agency then must trust you to give you the project and allow you to innovate. So don't screw up down here, which then makes the owners look bad, which then the public isn't going to give them any money. So if you want to be successful down here, do quality work. It's going to allow you to innovate, and it's going to allow for more funding to come in the future. So this is kind of some of the ones I've already talked about. Again, build the trust. I can't stress that enough. You've got to have trust amongst all parties involved. Develop a win-win. Again, maybe that first W is capitalized. You want to show that owner agency that you want to emphasize their win versus yours. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of you already do, but I'm going to say it anyways. Commit to what you're doing. Follow through with building a quality, innovative product or tweak to the specification, and get involved. Absolutely get involved in the process. Like I mentioned before, if you're standing on the sidelines and you're complaining that there's no innovation, I can't do this, I can't do that, get involved. Create opportunities for yourself. Don't be passive and just complain about it on the back end. That doesn't do anyone any good. Get involved in the process, and again, create opportunities for yourself. So that concludes presentation. Oh, maybe I have to exit first.
No, it looks perfect. Yeah,
all right, it looks like it worked. I'm back.
Your presentation's off the screen, and we still see you.
Okay, I did it right.
Perfect. Yeah, that was a great presentation, and thank you for the Jocko reference. That's one that I like a lot too. I don't have any questions in the Q&A yet, but if anybody has any questions for Garth, we'd invite you to ask those now. And I'll throw out a first one, Garth. Where for folks in a specific market, what would you identify as a good place for a contractor, a junior engineer at a contractor, somebody like that, to get involved with identifying deficiencies and specifications and having a position from which to suggest changes?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I know, from personal experience, obviously, the RTC of Washoe County is the keeper of the specs up north. Down south, it's the RTC of Southern Nevada. However, the local agencies, especially with the agencies I'm familiar with right now, they really have their own set. So ideally, what you want to start with is, if you have a project manager contact or a resident engineer contact, start with them first. And some of that is also going to be building that trust, building that relationship with them, saying, hey, you know what? Well, let me back up. Most likely, you're looking to innovate or do something new on an upcoming project. So what I would do is start with the project manager you worked with in the past, or if you know who that project manager is going to be, start with them to show that you want to take some initiative and do something innovative to develop that win-win relationship. Now, obviously, the project manager, the resident engineer is not going to be the right person, but they're going to put you in contact. But I would say start that way, because it develops that kind of line of communication, that chain of command, and it helps develop that relationship instead of circumnavigating around and trying to do something that, quite frankly, the project manager or the resident engineer may be opposed to. I mean, we're all humans. You have some project managers and you have some resident engineers out there that are more open to trying things different than others. So you kind of want to test the waters first with that person to see if they're receptive to doing something different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think on the project level is a great place to begin. And I think, I think ideally pre-bid is probably a better place to do than post-bid.
It is. And that's why I said you may need to, look at a past project you worked on, or find out who the PM was if you can have a conversation with them beforehand. Yeah. Post bid is tough because, then you're up against time. Obviously project specific, if it's, let's take Spaghetti Bowl Express, because we had a presentation on that earlier, the I-15 Tropicana. Those are many years long project. If there's something that's a year out, there may be some time to have that conversation. So.
Okay, well, I didn't see any questions come in, so I'm going to thank you again, Garth, for your presentation, and we'll move on to closing up the session here.
All right, I will exit stage right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed the NIC 2020 in this new format. I hope, our intent was to try to give everybody an opportunity to do some networking and have some conversations. Just like we would in person if we were at the Atlantis or at Texas Station or some other location where we've had this conference in the past. In today's climate, we're not able to do that in person, but we thought this was the next best thing. And we're going to be sending out a survey to everybody who registered for the conference to seek some feedback from you on what you thought about the program, suggestions for future topics, the format, etc. I think I can confidently speak for everyone and say we're not really looking forward to doing another one on a virtual platform like this if we can help it. But it would help us a lot if we understood a little bit more about everybody's experience was.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan. That's awesome. I think it was a good day. It was a little bit experimental, as you're mentioning, with this platform, and we've got some pretty good feedback on it. So I hope everybody out there had a good experience. I know it was a little different, but sometimes it's good to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And so it looks like, a lot of people stuck with it over the 2 days, and attendance was strong. And so I appreciate everybody's perseverance and flexibility and adaptability and all those good things. But again, hopefully next year we're back, at the Atlantis or a comfortable spot down there in Las Vegas. And hopefully we're looking towards something where we can all get back to, our happy life as we had it versus all this isolation and stuff. So it was fun playing with this Remo platform. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do want to thank all the speakers. I know that we had some excellent speakers over the last 2 days, going all the way back to the beginning with the senator and the director Swallow. I was really impressed with a lot of the insight and the quality presentations that we had. So I want to thank the speakers for adapting with us and stepping forward, and then the sponsors. You know, we had this group of sponsors that's been with us for many years, and they stepped up and continued to help us through this time. So thanks to the sponsors, and then all the supporting people behind the scenes, Nathan, and the production team, and then mostly, the audience. So I appreciate everybody's time. I think there's a couple. We're going to leave the floor open if people want to hang out and talk. And then I believe Megan's got a quick raffle that she wants to do. So we're going to do the raffle. We're going to put everybody out to the floor. Hopefully you'll hang out and bounce around to a couple tables. And that's going to wrap it up from there. So I'm going to sign out here. Hope to see you down on the floor. And good luck on the raffle. So take care, everybody.
One last thing I'll mention before we start the raffle is that we've been recording these sessions of presentations, and we're going to put those on the NIC 2020 website for anybody who wasn't able to see them, or you missed something, or you want to show that to somebody. You'll be able to access the videos of the presentations, and as well as many of the PowerPoints or possibly PDFs of the PowerPoints as we're able to get from the presenters. Will go on that website as well. All right, Megan, are we ready for some winners?
So.
All right.
I think so. All right. So the first one we're going to do is the $50 Amazon gift card, and this is for the hashtag prize. So if you were hashtagging that NICC 2020 or NV infrastructure, that's how you were entered into this one. And the winner for that one is Mike Wilhelm. So Mike, I'll be sending you an email, and we will find out the best way to get you that Amazon gift card. So the next prize we have is a $25 Amazon gift card. I'm going to spin the wheel. Lands on. It's Regina, and I'm glad that Regina won. She had a hard time getting logged in, and then she finally made it. So it looks like her perseverance paid off. So I'll send you an email, Regina, and we'll get that to you. All right, and our last prize of the day, it's a Happy Dining gift card for $50, and it's good at Cracker Barrel, Red Lobster, P.F. Chang's, or Cheesecake Factory. So if you want your family to love you, just pick up a pumpkin cheesecake for Thanksgiving. Jeff Stempahar. So Jeff, I will reach out to you as well, and we will get those in your hands. And thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate it. And like they had said, stick around, network a little bit, and have a great Thanksgiving. All right, bye.